So, Josh Bryant, General Manager, People and Risk. I am the big stick of Mitchell Services. So, Kim and I actually learned about safety differently at exactly the same time. We went through and we learned about Sydney's three principles first, which is people are a solution, not a problem to control. That safety is an ethical responsibility and not a bureaucratic responsibility. And safety is the presence of positives in capacity, not just the absence of incidents. So we walked out of there, Kim had a budget and I didn't. So that's the difference, all right? All right, so I want to introduce you to my business, right? So Mitchell Services is an ASX listed company. We work all around Australia. So the yellow dots are the number of drill rigs. And each, not as flash as Jim's big monster that he showed yesterday, but my drill rigs vary. So I work on surface and underground. I own the equipment, I own the people, but I go and drill for other people. So I drill holes in the ground to get minerals. This is a typical work crew. So I've got Sam, Hendo and Will in outback Queensland. Got guys underground, you've got Bluey and Nige, and then you've got John and Scotty on one of our bigger rigs. So 700 people working a fly-in fly-out roster all over Australia. Can't get them in a room. Can't teach them anything all at once. So we had to go about this a little bit differently. So the big number I want to draw your attention to here is the 25,600 shifts. That's how many shifts that we had all of last calendar year. 66 times I hurt someone. And you go, oh, hang on, 66, 700, oh, he hurts nearly 10% of his workforce. I'm actually better than that. I hurt some people more than once. So if you go that 66 times, 2 of those were LTIs. 14 were medically treated and 50 were first aid cases. And the first aid cases were nearly 50% more than the year before. And the reason they went up is because of safety too. Because we actually use Safety 2 to build trust in our organisation and learn what's going on. So I work for clients. So me going to a site, this is what I see. I see my guys all ready to go, my equipment's pre-started, it's excellent, it's ready to go, the guys are all trained, they're all excited. My clients see Fury Road. Okay, my clients see that I've welded shit on the side of a rig and my guys, half of them are wearing gimp masks and hanging off the trucks. All right, so it's an interesting environment, and that's one of our biggest challenges as well, is that it's not my workplace, but it's my drill rig and it's my workforce. So our big thing with deploying Safety 2 was, how do we actually apply it to a workforce such as mine? So we learn about the safety differently principles, and then we learn about HOP. Where's Andy Sean? Andy runs excellent human organisational performance courses through Southpack, so we went and did that. So my team was on board, went through it with the leadership team, and they said, oh, that's really different to what our clients do. And I went, yeah, I know. And they're like, well, it actually sounds the right thing to do though. So instead of just going in and pushing this on the people, we actually went out and consulted with our workforce and say, what do you currently see how the leadership team acts? What do you see how we communicate with you? And the way we went about changing things and implementing Safety 2 is we call it the 100 small things. So we went in and did 100 small things, often with deliberate intent. We purposely changed things to bring in safety differently. And the aim of that was to create discomfort. They go, ooh, that's new and what's that about? Or delight, hey, I like that. I like the things they're doing. So I had to apply Safety 2 at the pointy end of the spear. So you've got the blunt end and the pointy end. Pointy end is where the work gets done. We applied safety differently and Safety 2 principles where it mattered most. So we broke down all the touch points, appropriate touch points, all the touch points that we have with our people. So we looked at how do we onboard and what messaging do we give them and what can we change to a Safety 2 mindset? How do we do our pre-shift meetings? What do we talk about? What do we make them focus on? Is it a load of crap? Is it lots of paperwork? We looked at how we do our safety meetings, looked at how we do our investigations. What's the messaging in the investigations? How do we communicate how we do our investigations and our findings? Is it people-centric or is it work-centric? And then we can also look at how we interact with them at the end of shift as well. So what messages do they get outside of work from Mitchell Services? So straight away someone's going to go, oh, there's 36 things up there, there's not 100, I get it. But this is an example of what we did, all right? So it's just going through and looking at what are our routines that we interact with our people? What do we do with them at work? How do we learn from them? What do we do leadership and culture-wise? What do we do with communication? One of the first things we did was take away TRIF from notice boards, communication, safety meetings, the whole lot. We just took it away, just absolutely took it away. First thing we did, and you know what? Because of turnover in my workforce, half of them don't even know what TRIF is, how to calculate it, what the number is, but they know their clients because they drive past it every day and, oh, it's 6. That's excellent. What's 6 mean? So no context. We started to change the way that the CEO communicated with the workforce as well. So changed the way he was doing videos. We couldn't do posters, couldn't get in a room saying, hey, we're going to do this safety differently thing. We just were like, okay, let's just sneak it in. So I'm just going to give you a few examples. When you see a car roll over like that, what's the first thing that comes to your mind and what would have caused that? Speed. Every time it's speed. So our communication went boom, and everyone sees the photos and they go, oh, that was caused by speed. We really focused on how are our teammates number one, and then what we believe were the root causes, and backing it up with, hey, the police have confirmed that speed was not a factor, and we want to highlight everyone in the vehicle was wearing a seatbelt, so the control worked. Oh, that's awesome, the guys are okay. Oh, it wasn't speeding, cool, let's move on. So we started to change the way that we were telling people about incidents. Because if we went back and it was a guy hurt himself on the drill rig hitting himself with a hammer, I want you all to learn how to use a hammer again. And we want you to reread this procedure. We took all that crap out and really focused our communication on what matters. I'm going to tell you a quick tale of 2 gloves. Underground, 600 metres, working with Ashley. Ashley's holding a drill rod, moving it. He goes, I want to show you something, Josh. And I went, yeah, man, show me. He goes, I've cut my glove. What do you mean you cut your glove? So what Ashley had done is those small top orange bits, Ashley had actually got a Stanley knife and made a cut across each of those. So why'd you have to do that, man? So first response, how would your business respond? You've tampered with a safety device. First response would be that. I'm the GM of safety for an ASX listed company. And a person in the field is saying to me, he's tampered with his glove. I'm like, okay, breathe. Why'd you do that? He goes, because these things are crap. These bits of PPE you give me, I can't hold the drill rod. They won't let me bend around. I know they're impact protection, so I've made a little cut. The impact protection stuff's still there, but now I've got the flexibility. I went, well, that's initiative, but maybe we could have done that a better way. Maybe we could have talked to our supervisor instead of tampering with safety equipment, and do you mind helping me find a better way? So we used Ashley, and Ashley came up, we basically implemented these new types of glove. I'm not advocating for any type of glove, by the way, but one thing Ashley said as well is, you know what, sometimes, and I know this is a weird thing, but I have to put sticky tape between my long sleeve and my glove because water gets in there. And I have to change gloves now and then as well, so I have to rip that off and then I do it again. And these ones have a bit of Velcro. So working with the workforce, we've actually learned from them. Instead of smashing, punishing, and actually telling our work crews, hey, look, Ashley cut a glove up, we went, hey, we've gone down to a drill rig, we've got some feedback from the workers, we'd like to implement this glove, can you give us some feedback? So that was just where our, the HOP principle of response matters really made a difference to our organisation. Now the next one is how do you learn from your people when things are going well? So those 26,000 shifts, and I said I hurt people 66% of the time, that means 99.7% of the time things went right. So if I've got safety advisors walking around only focusing on 0.3% of what goes wrong, what a waste of money. But I can't use the advisors just to tell me what can be done better in the field. So we actually put it to our people and we said, tell us about normal work and tell us how we can improve it. So the one on the left is a guy, Joel, And Joel said, we've got this truck on site and I need to see what the water level is in the tank. And to do that, I have to climb up on the side of the truck and look into it. Why don't we put something like a spyglass with a bubble so it just comes up? You've seen them on other trucks. And we're like, some of our trucks actually have that. Why doesn't that one? Well done, Joel. And then we just went, oh, hang on a minute. While we're doing that improvement, let's have a look at how we're doing plant risk assessments and how did we miss that? How did we miss the fact that we had to have someone climb up on a truck? You know, we didn't get it, we didn't catch it. The next one's from Craig. So we move these things called power packs, probably about the size of your table. We move them with these underground forklifts, but there's only a place for the fork tines on one side. So Craig's put forward and said, look, when I'm underground, it's quite a tight environment. So if we had another place where we had fork tines, I could actually slide it into place. Now, what this isn't doing is improving safety, it's actually improving work, because safety is an outcome. With Joel climbing up on that truck, I put him at risk at working at heights, falling, I don't have ladderways, etc. I'm putting him at risk. But if I improve his work, safety is the outcome. And it's the same with Craig. If Craig's not frustrated underground 600 metres, moving a power pack around in an IT, and he can slide the fork tines in another side, I've actually made his work better, leading to a safer outcome. So that was the Our People, Our Solutions. Now, this is awesome. This was my field leadership, or our initial attempt at field leadership. So Mitchell Services, when I joined 4 years ago, didn't have any form of field leadership, so we implemented this. How awesome. And it was the typical, how do you go and observe your people? Let's go and have a look at the positive behaviours they're doing. Let's have a look at the at-risk behaviours. And then we got really clever. We actually made a judgment on them based on compliance versus value, depending on how they told their story. So you'd go, oh, I think he only actually told me that he did it that way because he's compliant. Oh, he seemed really passionate about his job. He must be values driven. What a load of crap. Now the thing with this is I've got people in the field, so I've got supervisors having these conversations, and I've got HSC people and I've got the leadership team having these conversations, and all this data's coming in and it tells me nothing. I learn nothing from this. And if I add up all my values data, I'll go, oh, we're 4.2. Whoa, we're moving towards values. No. So we changed it. We changed our conversations so that we can actually learn from them. So we talk to our people about fatal risk, because they can die or they can get seriously hurt on my drill sites. But I never told them what those risks were. They told us. So we used to have a thing called the golden rules. We got rid of them and we implemented the fatal 8 based on what the workforce said worries them when they're on a drill site. And then we talked to them about the critical controls. What are the controls needed at all times to make sure that you are safe? And they came up with these. So we came up with all the controls and we talked to the workforce about what they think are the critical controls. So this contraption you can see in the background, the big red thing, is a cage around a spinning rod, and it's got an interlock. So that's a critical control, having that spin cage in place. And we always ask, is it enough? How do you know it's going to work? Well, dude, if that cage isn't in place, the rig doesn't work because the interlock engages. Excellent, that's cool. Then we talked to them about, okay, with this specific task, how do you ensure that things go well most of the time? What is it you do? What do you look for? What are the trigger points for you? And when do things get difficult? And these are conversations we have every single day with our people in the field. Okay, you know what? It gets really difficult when I don't have enough room on my side. When the rods are going really fast, I'm jumping between jobs. Okay. And then we ask them a question. If things go wrong, how do you fail safely? And you go, what? Failing safely means if I'm going to use a hand tool and I wear an impact protection glove, I'm not guaranteed to hit my hand, but if I do, I can fail safely and it won't hurt as much. And where do we come up with that? Driving home, listening to a podcast, and you hear fail safely, and we implement it within the business within 2 weeks. And it's common language. So safety differently can be driven and done very, very quickly as well, depending on where you use it. So We also then stop and go, well, how can we improve it? Have you got any ideas for improving? So before I finish and you go, oh, what's your metrics? That's my metrics. That's all I look at and that's all I care about. That's what we discuss as a leadership team and that's what we discuss with the board. What are we learning out there? What are we improving? And are our controls in place? So influence through action. How do I know I'm doing a good job? This is feedback, actual feedback from my clients. The key theme of these incidents is behaviours, choices made by individuals. Your investigations, using Mark's blue line investigation method, are focusing on systems and equipment and conditions of work. I don't think you're focusing on the real issue, which is people. I'm doing a really good job. Because I'm influencing. I need to influence. I need them to see what I'm trying to do. The focus isn't on people because I will not learn anything from that event if I just focus on a person. I need to really focus on everything. And this is another good one. This is based on Tim. Your safety advisor openly admitted that he would not blame one of his guys in an investigation. Thank you. So obviously, us doing those 100 small things, often with deliberate intent, we're deliberately changing the way that we do investigations, deliberately changing the way we're talking to our people, are actually having impact. So in reflection, what's the brick wall thing? If you break through and get safety differently in there, like we said, like a ninja, it'll start to break through, cracks will form, and here it comes. So for us, safety too hasn't been a thing. We haven't named it anything. We haven't named our changes. We've just done it because we actually believe in it. Myself and my 4 colleagues who did Sid's Safety Differently course and learned about safety differently, we actually walked out of there empowered. And we wanted to do this and we wanted to make this change. We do 1 and 2. So we do both, and you can see that because we focus on fatal risk and control and stopping, but we also focus on failing safely and making sure things are right. And it's taken time. It's probably taken us 3 years, Tim, probably 3 years to really get this in. And we knew we cracked it when an operations manager pushed back on a client and said, you can't blame people. He failed safely. You're not going to learn anything from focusing on the individual. Help me, work with me, and let's work on this investigation together. So my thing is, start with what you can control. So if you walk into a room and go, we're going to do safety too, and they go, no. You go, okay, what bits can I look after? Discover your touch point and build a lot. And what I've found more than anything is that it's built an absolute lot of trust in my business that I can walk up to anyone underground, like Frank Mudge, and Frank will tell me the truth about his day, how I make it crap, how the leadership team make it crap, how the clients make it crap, but then I can learn from him and try and make it better. Thanks.